Good evening and welcome to Sunset News on this Tuesday evening. As always, we bring you news, community stories, economics, weather, and sports. I'm Aina Kweo. In the news tonight, Elson Pastor Shibute David Aipinge, who is accused of raping a 15-year-old girl while based at the Church Okando Parish, was remanded in custody after a brief court appearance in Otapi's Magistrate Court this morning. Aipinge stands accused of raping the girl in Okando Village between June 2020 and September 2022 on 5 occasions. Assistant Magistrate Selma Simon informed Aipinge that he was denied bail due to the seriousness of the offense. The matter was remanded to the 17th of June. Moving over to our next story, World Intellectual Property along with Business and Intellectual Property Associate held a cross-regional technical meeting addressing intellectual property, genetic resources, and traditional knowledge associated with genetic resources. BIPA CEO Vivienne Kachiongwa highlighted the importance of safeguarding the rights of indigenous communities. Precious Ngitaunabo reports.
Our collective presence here as WIPO member states underscores the importance of addressing the complex interplay between intellectual property and genetic resources and the need for a robust international instrument that strikes a balance between promoting innovation and safeguarding the right of the indigenous communities. As we prepare for the upcoming diplomatic conference in May this year, it's important that our deliberations are not only insightful but also constructive, fostering an environment which is conducive to reaching a fruitful outcome. Namibia as a country has been very proactive in the development of a legal and policy framework to protect traditional knowledge and genetic resources. These include the Access and Benefit Sharing Framework, which aims to ensure equitable sharing of benefits which are derived from the use of genetic resources and associated traditional knowledge. BIPA, in collaboration with WIPO, in September 2023 hosted a workshop on traditional knowledge, which was aimed at informing the traditional community and the practitioners how they can protect their traditional knowledge through the IP system. This, in our view, highlighted the importance of a knowledge economy on the traditional knowledge and WIPO's commitment.
Walvis Bay-based taxi drivers were gathered at the Walvis Bay Fire Brigade to demonstrate against high traffic fines and bad roads. Frida Moloto reports.
The Walvis Bay-based taxi drivers are gathered at the Walvis Bay Fire Brigade to demonstrate against high traffic fines and bad roads.
Right, good morning. I follow Namibians. My name is Vido. So we are here gathered all the taxis and it's based on the roads of Walvis Bay, how they are damaged, and we want to do a protest for our municipality to look after our roads and rehabilitate them. Thank you.
In our Story of the Day segment, we speak about the importance of transportation. In our story of the day tonight, CEO of the Namibia Airports company, Basi Oirab, spoke earlier at the signing agreement with tourism stakeholders. These include the City of Windhoek, NTB, Gondwana, the Walvis Bay Corridor Group, the Namibia Chamber of Commerce and the Industry, and the Namibia Investment Promotion and Development Board. Executive Director of the Ministry of Works and Transport, Cedric Limbo, also spoke about the importance of transportation. Elaine Smith reports.
It's important that there is that collaboration amongst the key stakeholders. We would like to have this project signed today to make sure that the parties know what they are talking about, the left hand knows what the right hand does, and vice versa. We held the initial engagement with a view to reimagine the Namibian aviation sector so that we can define our economic contribution in our economic development, but also ensure that Namibia continues to play a role as the logistics hub in our region.
The country is scarcely populated. Hence, the optimal transport system is very, very important. As government, we are able to connect Namibia to Africa and the rest of the world through what we call bilateral access agreement. As you might be aware, Namibia wants to become a logistical hub for SADC. And this will not happen by chance, except through other initiatives such as this. I'm happy that these entities have signed, or are about to sign, an agreement which will smoothen and fast track the aspect of us becoming a logistical hub.
In our community talk segment, a union affiliated with the Trade Union Congress of Namibia led its aggrieved members in a protest after the break.
Connection. It's in the human touch, the feeling of belonging. It inspires us and empowers us, creates clarity from complexity. It starts new conversations, unlocks the power of advice, and makes an impact on your life. At Alex Forbes, we pioneer insight to provide you with advice that connects your decisions of today to your impact tomorrow.
The Namibia Seamen and Allied Workers Union, affiliated to the Trade Union Congress of Namibia, led its aggrieved members, specifically ex-employees of the SAMIERI and NAMSOB, to the head office of the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources today. The protest was to demand permanent jobs as promised in 2020 after the fishermen were left unemployed in 2018. Wendy Shikukwete read the petition reminding the government that the fishermen are left in the dark, receiving no communications from the ministry and having to survive off 4,000 Namibian dollars a month with no guarantee of permanent employment.
We are the former employees of SAMIERI, employed on the fishing vessel MBF Aineste, and 73 fishers, former employees of NAMSOB. We are not happy the way the Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources is handling the matter, in which they are employed by the shore recruit. We lost our employment in 2018, and the arrangement was made in December 2020 by his Honorable Minister Albert Kawana at the time when he was a Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources, to be employed by shore recruit. Since then, we have been receiving 4,000 Namibian dollars. What makes us unhappy is that all other workers employed by shore recruit were employed on a permanent basis. However, we do not have any contract of employment, and there is no sign that we will receive permanent contract.
My name is Verishua Kawaria, and today I'm the acting executive director. The money that the ministry owes to the companies that has already paid you over the past 2 or 3 years, the quota for that will be released today. And the employment contracts that has to be signed between yourselves and the different companies will be done as soon as the employment contracts are signed between the minister and the individual companies. And I don't think that will be much further than maybe another week.
They never give the information. Those meetings are done only between the companies, not only the CWEC. It's an attitude of the ministry that whenever they're discussing issues related to the workers, they are only discussing with the employers. And this is frustrating the workers. Now what happened with the minister? He only gives the quotas to the company. He don't have the information how many people, how much they're going to be paid.
According to Economic News, the red locust destroyed 10 hectares of crop in Zambezi. After the break. In our economic news tonight, the Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform says that 10 hectares of crops in the Zambezi region have been destroyed due to the presence of the African migratory red locust in various parts of the region. According to the Agriculture, Water and Land Reform Executive Ndiakupi Ngitwamata, the particularly affected areas include Lake Liambezi and the Old Masokotwani, where maize crops have fallen victim to the voracious pests. Furthermore, farmers in the surrounding areas such as Kapani, Old Masokotwani, Kanono, Linyati, Nakambolelwa, Masikili, Ngoma, Isuswa, Ioma, Mutikitila, Ibu, Mahundu, Gala, Kapani and Chinchimani, Linyati, Sigombeka, Maunga and Sigali, as well as Oshikunde village in the Ohangwena region, are urged to be on the lookout and to report any notable locust sightings to the Ministry of the Constituency Office, she said. She further explained that the locust posed a serious threat to crops in general, river-filled crops and livestock grazing areas, and in response to the crisis, the ministry has deployed extension officials to intensify surveillance and assess the situation. As a result, the ministry has deployed extensive officials to intensify surveillance, monitor and assess the situation, and they are advised to commence ground spraying in the affected areas. The ministry will continue assessing the situation to advance the required interventions to curb the further spread of the locust, she said. Ngitwamata also urged farmers to cooperate with the ministry officials during the spraying campaign and report any locust sightings to agricultural development centers and constituency offices. And now let's take a look at our economic indicators. The Namibian dollar trades for 23 Namibian dollars 85 cents to 1 British pound, 20 Namibian dollars 41 cents gets you 1 euro, 80 Namibian dollars 72 cents gets you 1 US dollar, 2 Namibian dollars 61 cents will get you 1 Chinese yuan. 3 commodities have dropped, that is gold, copper and platinum, while Brent crude oil has gone up with 0.11%. After the break, we return with the international news. Stay with us.
Welcome to Namibia, where adventure meets tranquility. With Enjoy, you have access to a wide range of accommodations to suit every traveler's taste and budget. Experience the finest dining and hospitality Namibia has to offer. Booking your dream accommodation is just a few clicks away with Enjoy. Join thousands of happy travelers who have trusted Enjoy for their Namibian getaway. Your gateway to unforgettable Namibian adventures. Visit us today at enjoy.my.na.
In international news tonight, all routes must be used to get aid into Gaza and word of a humanitarian catastrophe. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said earlier today in the European Parliament in Strasbourg, France, as the ship transporting food left Lanka port headed to the enclave. Von der Leyen visited the port in EU member state Cyprus on Friday and told lawmakers in the European Parliament that an EU team would help coordinate the finance and flow of aid through the maritime corridor once it was up and running, as the United Nations warns of widespread famine among Gaza's 2.3 million Palestinians 5 months into the war. If successful, the mission, which could take up to 2 days and is mostly funded by the United Arab Emirates, would signify the first easing of an Israeli naval blockade imposed on Gaza in 2007 after Hamas took control of the Palestinian enclave. In the same debate with lawmakers, von der Leyen also announced the Commission would recommend to the European Council to start accession negotiations with Bosnia and Herzegovina.
As we speak, a ship is setting sail from Cyprus to northern Gaza. It carries the most basic kind of humanitarian aid, which is almost the most needed today: food, plain and simply food for a population that faces a humanitarian catastrophe. The situation on the ground is more dramatic than ever, and it has reached a tipping point. We have all seen the reports of children dying of starvation. This cannot be, and we must do all in our power to stop it. Everybody knows how difficult it is to move aid into and within Gaza, and this is where the maritime corridor comes into play. It can crucially help increase the amount of aid effectively reaching people in northern Gaza. The United States will now work to set up a floating port to unload big ships. Till this is ready, we work with smaller ships. The United Arab Emirates and other partners will co-finance the cargo. Cyprus will manage the departure at the port of Larnaca. And we, the European Union, will step up our logistics support on the ground. An EU coordination team is already in Cyprus, and we will finance and coordinate the flow of European goods through this corridor. In parallel, several countries, including some of our member states, have started to airdrop humanitarian aid from Jordan into Gaza. And today I can announce that we have activated the EU Civil Protection Mechanism to strengthen our support. And I encourage all member states to contribute with their assets, from parachutes to containers, to allow a stable and meaningful supply of aid to Gaza. And right now, there's only one way to restore an adequate flow of humanitarian aid. The people of Gaza need an immediate humanitarian pause that would lead to a sustainable ceasefire, and they need it now. Since we granted candidate status, Bosnia and Herzegovina has taken impressive steps forward. More progress has been achieved in just over a year than in a whole decade.
Here are the weather predictions for tomorrow. Katima Mulilo can expect a minimum of 20 degrees as well as Windhoek, while Rundu, Oshakati and Tsumeb as well as Omaruru can expect a minimum of 23 degrees. Henties Bay can expect a maximum of 24 degrees, while Rehoboth can expect a maximum of 33 degrees, Mariental 36, Cape Manshwab 35 and Aranos 35. That also include Aramsflay. We take a look at the sports package courtesy of Sports Rep shortly. Stay with us.
Good evening and welcome to the Sunset News Sports section. I am Jesse Jackson Kauraitha. The race for the title of the Debmarine Namibia Football Premier League continues to take twists and turns, with African Stars regaining top spot after Sunday's matches. At the bottom of the standings, things are equally tense as the relegation-threatened teams have suddenly begun to add some points. Mathematically, nothing has been cast in stone yet, and the league continues to gear up for a second grand finish. Reigning title holders African Stars beat Julinho Sporting 3-0 on Saturday before beating Okakarara Young Warriors 2-1 on Sunday. Stars coach Ronnie Cananelo was reluctant to allow complacency despite the team's dominance in both matches played at Okahanja. Ongos FC, who were on top of the past 2 weekends, dropped to second place after a less than productive weekend. Ongos lost 1-0 to Mighty Gunners on Friday and held by Shoke Chula Chula 2-2 on Sunday. Moses Shidolo's brace was enough to give, that is, Ongos Chula Chula the fight to a draw. The FNB Schools Mountain Biking MTB League for 2024 kicked off last weekend at Roots Gymnasium Private School in Stamford. The year's first competition in the South was an ultimate showdown where the thrill of rugged terrain met the spirit of competitive biking. Riders from across the country converged to test their mettle on Stamford's challenging trails in hopes of clutching the converted trophies and medals while boosting their individual standing on the leaderboard as well as for their school. In the under-18 boys category was undisputed Prince Bonana, who clocked an impressive time of 20 minutes 37 seconds in the final of the third lap. That was indeed a spectacular one, and Enzo Amuela was there to cover that. In an impressive display of skill and passion for e-football, the first set of the Namibia National Esports Qualifiers concluded in Windhoek last weekend. The esports competition, organized by the Namibian Electronic Sports Association, NESA, and held at the MTC Innovation Center in the Namibia University of Science and Technology, NUST HTTPS building, witnessed intense competition among seasoned e-football athletes vying for top honors. Among the standout performers were Mandume Kaukungwa. That is all we have for you tonight. Good night.
And with that, we've come to the end of tonight's Sunset News. Please be reminded that our show is on DSTV channel 285 as well as GoTV 25 every weekday from 7:30 to 8 p.m. My name is Aina Raiza Koyo. Please don't end your day without us. Good night.